please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Well, Facebook-owned messaging platform WhatsApp has rolled out its payments feature. The popular messaging app now lets users in India send and receive money via UPI. However, this move has kicked up a storm in the payment space. Incumbent Paytm has accused WhatsApp of killing India's beautiful open UPI system. Paytm founder Vijay Shekhar Sharma tweeted, and I quote, "After failing to win the war against India's open internet with cheap tricks of free basics, Facebook is again in play, killing beautiful open UPI system with its custom closed garden implementation. I'm surprised that the champions of Open India stack let it happen." End of quote. However, other companies like MobiKwik have a different take on the issue. The company's CEO Bipinpreet Singh has tweeted, and I quote again, "Those complaining about WhatsApp are the same folks who refuse to entertain neutral payment options like MobiKwik on their own e-commerce websites and apps and instead promote only captive wallets." End of quote. What is the exact controversy? Megha joins us now to keep it simple with this explainer. Megha, over to you.
WhatsApp Pay, this new payment feature by the largest messenger service in India, has ruffled a few feathers, notably that of Paytm boss Vijay Shekhar Sharma. And here's his grouse. WhatsApp has made UPI into a closed or a wall payments garden in India. Why is that being said? Well, as of now, the app does not allow transactions to non-WhatsApp UPI handles created via other apps, and it does not include UPI features like QR code scanning. And so far, all players using UPI have had to comply with these norms. And therefore, the big question this camp is asking are, why does WhatsApp get preferential access to UPI, bypassing some of these norms to create a simpler onboarding process for consumers like you and I, and when it's compared to other apps? This camp is also questioning if NPCI has carved out loopholes, therefore making it easier for Facebook to launch this service on WhatsApp. Also, does this compromise on the fundamental promise of UPI, which was interoperability? Speaking of interoperability, here's a rebuttal by those who believe UPI was actually never intended to be an open platform. Here's their argument. UPI never included wallets because NPCI believed that banks needed time to catch up with digital payment startups. WhatsApp's way of using UPI will let millions of customers jump onto UPI, which was always NPCI's big mission. Keep in mind that WhatsApp currently has over 200 million monthly active users in India. This camp goes on further to say that there is nothing stopping NPCI from actually expanding this onboarding process, which is a simpler one, to other apps out there. So these are the two camps on WhatsApp Pay, which leaves us with a few concerns. Will this in any way dampen the growth of startups in the peer-to-peer payment space? Is this a reminiscent of Facebook's internet.org that clearly violated net neutrality? Also, with global tech giants getting access to UPI, two companies like Google and Facebook get a leg up in capturing a larger piece of the internet-first users in India.
Well, thanks very much, Megha, for very comprehensively putting forward the arguments that both sides are making. There are many sides to this story, and let's now go across to the man who has stirred up this controversy. Joining us now is Vijay Shekhar Sharma, founder of Paytm, joining us all the way from Toronto. Vijay, I appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV18. I want to pick up on your latest tweet, Vijay. You said, "We must not let people with large distribution get favor or get away with their evil business practices that choke industry and not just choke Indian companies." Why is Vijay Shekhar Sharma an angry young man today?
Well, I think, first of all, I want to tell you that this is not related to me being angry young man today. This is about Indian companies continuously get undertreated by same treatment which international companies won't get. For example, I'll not start with us as a case here. I'll start with the case of Make My Trip and Booking.com. If you book a hotel on Booking.com, you give your credit card. They take the credit card and share it with someone else, some hotel. But if you book it on Make My Trip, they cannot share because it is legally not allowed in India. outsider player like Booking.com can play the business in a different way than a domestic business can play. And Deep has been cribbing about it, asking about it, and suggesting about it. That there should be an equal level playing field in the country.
But
I'll give you another example now.
Vijay, if I may interrupt you, if I may interrupt you on the limited point that you're making about providing a level playing field, then surely you cannot rest the blame at the door of a Google or a WhatsApp. Surely the blame has to rest then with the Indian regulator and the Indian regulations.
Absolutely. I'm just trying to tell you that it is WhatsApp. So first of all, I want to put something on the context here, because I think a lot of people are calling it a India versus a foreign company debate. It is absolutely not. I have always said it, and I repeat it again. India is an open internet marketplace where not only Indian companies but international companies are welcome, invited, and are going to remain as a player. So we as a company, I as an individual, and I don't think that many entrepreneurs in this country would ever dream of saying that we should go China way, we should go lock out them way, or anything else. Each one of us is single ask is that we should not be treated like a third world country fellows, by a fellow citizen and a fellow law, versus somebody coming just because they're coming from outside, just because they're coming from America. The colonization word that was claimed about UPI and India stack is surprisingly bouncing back here. So it is not about India versus foreign company debate at all. And it is not about capital dumping also. It's an open market. Everybody will play with whatever they have. We or I have no role whatsoever to even fix this. This is maybe some disgruntled people who are not part of the industry are quoting about it. I've never said it, and we are not saying it. The problem is, now let's talk about the problem.
Okay, so
tell me an example of an app which is using UPI and you don't even have a login and password. You talk about ICICI, you talk about SBI, you talk about PhonePe, you talk about Paytm. Everybody in this country has a 3-factor authentication. I'm sure you know that. Login, password, and then the UPI PIN.
Yes.
And here the app goes, without any login password, you can just put the PIN and then your money transfer happening. Voila, that is not just a violation. This is a bigger security threat to the country. We all talk about cyber safety in this country. We all talk about gullible Indians who can be compromised for their bank accounts and digitization. And here is a championed app which is not even having a login and password and doing money transfer directly from your bank account. I do not know what kind of security bomb is allowed to run in this country.
One second. You're raising two very different issues. You're raising one, a security issue, because you're saying that there is no 3-factor authentication that is the norm that is prescribed for other payment players. But the question I ask you again, Vijay, WhatsApp has been allowed to do this. There is someone who has allowed them to go forward with this. It brings back the question of how the NPCI is operating, and hence the question should be raised to the NPCI, not to WhatsApp.
Totally. WhatsApp can play business tactics like these. Mark Zuckerberg is known to play cheap business tactics in past also. He can play it out, and we are letting it play it out with. Yes, you're right. My question is that how are we as Indians letting some third world country, third party companies that are coming from all the way from the West to get a special favor from NPCI? You're right. I think this conversation is not about what WhatsApp is doing, but it is about what WhatsApp can get away with. Why are we letting this happen? I mean, why are we letting our financial ecosystem and financial system open to a third party?
But Vijay, let me again interrupt you, because you know your first tweet that you put out, which was yesterday, I think, when you said that after failing to win the war against India's open internet with cheap tricks of free basics, Facebook is again in play, killing the beautiful open UPI system. But the fact of the matter, Vijay, is that UPI has not been an open system. Is that not a fact? Suddenly you choose to conveniently ignore the fact that there has been criticism. In fact, the Vatal committee appointed by the government very categorically stated that the UPI was not a neutral infrastructure provider.
Totally, and I want to put it on the table first, that as a statement. I hear, as Megha was saying a few minutes back, that wallet companies felt that this is not equal to them, and the conversation that we had made us understood that the UPI ecosystem was connected to KYC account, and that is why wallet companies are now asked to complete the KYC, and the February is a new deadline, as you know, and post that UPI will come to the wallets also. So by the way, as neutral as it can get, as neutral it doesn't get. The question and the point I'm trying to raise here is that whatever the neutrality is and whatever the rule of the games are defined by UPI, whether it includes wallet today or whether it includes wallet tomorrow, the point is, if today's rules are ABC, they are not being followed as ABC to company A and company B. The question is that how are we as countrymen are letting this happen to another company which is totally known to be one of the most evil companies in the world? I'm surprised. I mean, it is not a question of whether...
You're calling Facebook and WhatsApp an evil company? You're calling Facebook and WhatsApp an evil company, Vijay Shekhar Sharma?
I am not calling them evil company. I'm calling them the most evil company. The Facebook is one of the most evil companies in the world right now. I do not know one geography that admires them as a great company. Their intentions, their actions, their attempts everywhere in the world, unanimously everywhere in the world, has costed countries, not just elections, but also the kind of freedom that we talk about it. This is not an open platform whatsoever it is. So it is not an evil company. It is the most evil company in the world right now in tech space. Now let's talk about what I'm trying to bring it again. India is a country where 200 million plus people use WhatsApp every month. And people who have not used financial systems are going to use financial systems and connect to the ecosystem of all bank network. And we today know what kind of disconnected systems we had in PNB Bank. And how could somebody do this kind of...
But Vijay, one second. You know, the same argument was made during the time of demonetization when people said that, look, Indians don't, you know, and you were one of the champions that said that, look, and the Prime Minister went to town saying that if people can WhatsApp, that was the Prime Minister saying if people can WhatsApp, people can use Paytm as well.
I totally repeated that it is exactly what was being talked in those days, and we were asked to put an extra clarification on that. So the question here is, we had to put an extra authentication on that. You can see that now you have an extra third factor authentication even on a wallet-to-wallet transfer, which is not even a law of the land requires us to do it. The point here is, we are opening our banking system to the biggest of possible fraud by giving it single factor authentication in the hands of 200 million people. I'm surprised that it is being let happen in this country. And then that system, which is a locked, closed system where customer has an obligation to sign up first. Only then they can do something. And a customer can only send money to their own ecosystem, not even an outsider. There is no way you can do money transfer to a bank account beyond WhatsApp account. That's like, I mean, it's an open violation of whatever the intention UPI has. I'm not the judge here whether UPI is open or closed. My question here is, when we were implementing UPI, and Shireen, I want to give you one of the really interesting anecdote that may be not publicly known yet. We were launching as Paytm UPI before Diwali, and that is the time Google Tej was being launched. We were asked to stop launching and delay the launch of Paytm UPI because Google has to launch it. So that you know this. I mean, I am not sure.
1 second. You were asked by whom? Who asked you to delay your launch so that Google could launch?
NPCI
asked you to delay your launch so that Google could launch.
100%. That's on the record that they sent us. And not just this, they took an undertaking from us.
In those words, sorry, I'm laboring on this, Vijay, but in those words, the NPCI asked you to hold back the launch of Paytm UPI so that Google could go first?
As Google could go first, Google could scale first, Google could stabilize the service, and Paytm couldn't even launch the service. You know, pre-Diwali service got launched in January purely because Diwali traffic and the post-facto compliance, etc., made us delay the traffic launch by 3 months. We today are the largest UPI user, and we are called that we are the number 2 players in this space, while we were the first player ready with the product out there in the market. Now, listen. I want to put, again, 2 things here clearly. The problem is not about foreign versus Indian companies. The problem is about an Indian company being treated like a third world country by our fellow countrymen and the law of the land. That is a problem. Just because you come from US should not be treated as a preference. It is not about capital dumping. We are the people who put 10,000 crore on payment in this industry.
No. But Vijay, didn't you push back when you were asked to delay? You say because of Google's launch. Didn't you push back when you tried to push back? I would imagine. What was the response from the NPCI?
We are good friends with NPCI. NPCI says that I think it is better that you launch it post facto. They are going through a traffic, so they should ramp up. You know, that's fine. The problem is now the first dot and second dots are joining that it is a pattern. That is why I'm speaking now, not because the day one. Because first time you definitely accommodate. Second time, you see a pattern like, oh my God, this is like a blatant taking sides about it. And I'm surprised, why would they be doing it?
Okay, so you're making some very serious claims here, Vijay Shekhar Sharma, saying that you were asked by the NPCI to hold back your launch so that Google could launch ahead of you. Several interesting comments that are coming in from Vijay Shekhar Sharma. We will take a quick break. Stay on with us. We return to this exclusive conversation on the payment wars that are currently underway with WhatsApp Pay launching in India. Welcome back. You're watching the CNBC TV18 exclusive. WhatsApp's move to launch Paytm Pay has kicked up a storm in the Indian mobile payment market. The major criticism coming in from Paytm's founder, Vijay Shekhar Sharma, who is live here with us. Vijay, before the break, you were making some very serious allegations saying that the NPCI asked you to hold back Paytm UPI's launch so that Google could launch. You've called Facebook the most evil company in the world. I want to ask you, Vijay, because you said before the break that you have now decided to speak up because you have observed a pattern. What is this pattern that you're talking about, Vijay?
Very clearly.
Specific instances.
I can tell you that very clearly the pattern is that as an Indian company, as a fellow payment company, whichever way you want to look at it, it's funny that all three things can apply on us. You can choose whichever one you want. The rule book which is written out there gets interpreted and modified for other players in a different way than us. I give you an example here. Yesterday I had a conversation with gentleman in NPCI, and I was asking, how did you let the login and password go away? He said there was a circular about it. And the circular says, if banks can undertake the liability, you can take away the two-factor authentication that is before the third-factor authentication is. Now, just help me.
Who issued the circular, Vijay? Who has issued the circular? When was the circular issued and who has issued it?
NPCI issued the circular which is on the website already. And I'm trying to say this. Are you suggesting that a three-factor authentication, which is considered as India's one of the best innovation in the world, even though it delays the process and it stops a lot of drops happens, but that has been the reason that the amount of fraud in India are so less, is just by an undertaking by 4 different banks was allowed to go away for WhatsApp. Wow. I mean, wow is the word that I can say. I mean, tell me another UPI app which has no login and password in this country. You can say that, oh, undertaking has been given by banks, but that is exactly what I'm saying. Closed-door negotiations and agreements are allowed to happen here. That is why my grudge is.
Okay, so you're saying closed-door negotiations happen with the NPCI. And Vijay, I also want to point out, in response to the fact that you tweeted saying that UPI is this big open garden, and now because WhatsApp Pay has come in, it's becoming this closed garden. But several people have raised questions about the manner in which the NPCI operates. As I pointed out, and I'm alluding to the recommendations of the Vatal Committee report, by the way, the deadline for which I'm told by Nikhil Pava, the implementation deadline has already expired. Now, will you make the case for those recommendations which call for a diffuse shareholding of NPCI, which call for the shareholding to include all classes of payment service providers? These were the specific recommendations. Will you now push the government to move forward on this?
I mean, we've gone to NPCI and asked for our shareholding, potential shareholding. We are a bank, so potential contribution, potential part of those committees. We may be the largest UPI bank in the country, but we don't have a say yet. I mean, Vatal Committee is a classic example
of the things that... What was the response? What was the response when you asked for a say?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay. Not yet, says the NPCI. So Vijay, where do we go from here? And what is this now going to mean in terms of, okay, you're a big boy in this dogfight, and I would imagine you'll be able to hold your ground. But what does this mean for the smaller players now with the emergence of WhatsApp Pay, Google Pays, and so on and so forth?
Look, this is exactly what was supposed to be the India Stack platform do, that it could allow many companies to play and any small or large company to play. the very fact that India Stack was built, and we always vehemently supported it, and even the days when we were not having UPI, I went on record to make a statement that we will be champions of UPI, because a lot of people thought that Paytm has built a large ecosystem and UPI will be off this. But at the same point of time, without any obligation, understanding that India is about welcoming as many people, and India will be great financial services ecosystem in the world if many companies can come together. We said we'll not only support, we'll champion UPI. You can open a Paytm app and you can see the UPI is the icon up front there. Now, all said and done, the problem here is that all those dreams of that India won't be colonized by Western country companies, all those things that Indian system will be identified as a champion of the world, everything incidentally is at stake right now. If you let WhatsApp run the payments without login and password, I can tell you that you are opening your banking ecosystem to a whole new fraud, and you're justifying that to any justification which is not going to hold true in any security measure that you may suggest me here.
Okay, so you're saying that it's an unfair advantage that WhatsApp has been given by NPCI, but I come back to the question that the blame then rests with NPCI, which is acting as the quasi-regulator of the payment space, as opposed to resting with the companies that are doing business. And you know, you run your business, Vijay. You will do what it takes to gain market share.
Wow, so that is exactly what I'm trying to say. Facebook does what it thinks to be done beneficial for it, and it wraps it, covers it in the name of, and gives it to the third world countries like this country. They last time did that. It is an internet, baby internet for all of you fellow friends. And please take this as a grant from my side. Oh my goodness, we know what it was. Exactly the same way. Oh, fellow countrymen, here is my gift to you as a payments, and please take this and be happy about it. Wow. Not even playing by the rules, not even playing by the statements that you should stand by and abide by. Microsoft used to do this in past, and there was an antitrust case on Microsoft exactly in these statements. They will follow partial recommendations, build custom flows, and then over the period, play the monopoly to become the market leader. It is an open case. Antitrust case on Microsoft was only because of this reason.
Well, we don't know whether this is a matter that will be taken up by the competition regulator in any form or fashion. But Vijay, let me end then by asking you, what is your message to the NPCI through this program?
Well, this message is to not NPCI only. This is a message to our internet ecosystem in this country. The first and foremost, please stop labeling everything as India versus foreign. It is absolutely no way. The reality of India is that India will have 4 or 5 ecosystems, and it will have significant amount of international players in this country. It is not even a debate left to be done or not. So please, anybody who was tweeting about it that you're cribbing and you want to play Patanjali card and so on, please get your glasses changed and understand that this is no more a conversation. The conversation is now about, can Indian companies, which are blooming right now and can become the world benchmarks for technology if they are let be bloomed? Can Indian companies become as big as our fellow companies in China has become? Hundreds of billion-dollar companies are there. Incidentally, India, if it doesn't...
Even though you're funded by the Japanese and the Chinese, Vijay.
Absolutely. The point is that companies made out of India can become global companies. Every company needs funding. If Indians don't give, then international will give, and India will allow that funding to happen, whatever the way we want it to be defined by law of the land. So this question is, can companies built out of India can become a world benchmark or not? This is a choice that we as a fellow Indians have here. Whether it is today a case of payment or in past case of access, the fight will continue. And the question that we should ask ourselves is, do we have an intention of this, a startup dream in this country and technology dream in this country, that we can let some companies become big enough for the world to see that India can bring some world companies? Always a question on this, all panels always happens, why can't India produce Google? Why can't India produce Facebook? Why can't India produce some other company in the world? And here is the answer today. Because if you treat Indian companies like a third world originated companies in your own country, I do not know why this question should at all come then.
Okay, Vijay Shekhar Sharma, we will have to leave it there. We're out of time. Thanks very much for joining us and making clear where the debate lies. It's not India versus foreign. That is the claim that Vijay Shekhar Sharma is making. He's saying Indian companies ought to be given a level playing field. And of course, blaming the NPCI for not providing that level playing field, also accusing the NPCI of holding back the Paytm UPI launch to favor Google. Scathing accusations coming in from Vijay Shekhar Sharma here on CNBC TV18. Thanks very much for your time. We wish you the very best of luck. We'll take a break. A lot more coming up. Don't go anywhere.